As of yesterday, it's been 1 year since I got my 2019 15-inch MacBook Pro, and it's time to make another update video talking about the last year I've spent using this machine as my daily driver. Starting off with the specs, like I said, it is a 2019 15-inch. It is not the 16-inch that came out later that year. It has the baseline 2.6 GHz 6-core Intel Core i7 with 32 gigs of RAM and the Radeon Pro 555X with 4 gigs of VRAM. It has the 512 gig SSD, and I've been really unorganized, so it only has about 100 gigs left. Over the last year, this machine has been really great to use. When I first got it, the battery life was really great, and it has not really degraded much since then. The battery has 198 cycles as of filming this video, and it still gets me through a day or two of usage without the charger. The display on these MacBooks is really nice. It's a 2880 by 1800 display. You can only run it in scaled mode, and I usually switch between 1680 by 1050 and 1920 by 1200. It really depends on what I'm doing because 1920 by 1200 hurts my eyes a little bit on the size of display. In my 6-month update video, I talked about how I was starting to encroach on my 32 gigs of RAM. That hasn't really changed, but since school ended and I'm not really doing as much intensive stuff, it usually sits around 22 to 25 gigs used. I also talked about some weird issues that I think involve the T2 chip. Those have mostly gone away. Those issues included the touch bar would freeze and the speakers would pop, but those and the other issues, like I said, have pretty much gone away. Apple must have really put in some work to get this thing working properly because I have no more of those issues. I do still have the issue where sometimes the machine will kind of be half awake and the fan control app I have won't run and the machine will just sit there baking. I'll wake up, sit down at my desk, and go to turn the computer on and it'll just be baking. Another issue heat-wise is I do feel like the machine was starting to get dirty and I tried to open it up, but these things are really impossible to open if you're kind of squeamish like I am. It's no longer a matter of removing the screws on the bottom tray and lifting the cover off. You really have to pull, and I wasn't comfortable doing that with this machine. I don't want to break anything, especially this early, so I just kind of cleaned the inside out with some compressed air, and I didn't take the cover fully off. I did that because I felt it was running the fans at a higher speed, and after that, I think things kind of calmed down a little. It's starting to get a bit noisy again, so I might have to do it soon, but cleaning the machine out really did help. I have not had any issues with the keyboard on this model. Not to get controversial, but I do prefer the butterfly design. I think it's much easier to type on, and I can type much more quickly and much more accurately on this design. Again, I haven't had any issues where the keys stop working because dust and crumbs get under them, and I really take care of the keyboard. But I think that's because I don't really eat around this machine, and I don't take it downstairs when I do woodwork or anything, and it just keeps the dust out. One of my goals with this machine was to keep it in the best condition I could. I had a case on it for a while, but I decided that it was kind of clunky and I didn't like it. And unfortunately, the other day, the machine took its first major spill. I had it in the backseat of my car, kind of on top of a pile of junk, and when I opened the door, the MacBook probably fell 4 feet onto concrete. And the reason that happened was because I was pushing a small server rack into my car, and I needed to get on that side of the rack to pull it in better. Speaking of that rack, after I moved the MacBook Pro to what I thought was a safer position, the server rack was rolling around a lot in my car and it basically dented the back of the machine. Given how thin the machine was, I was worried it wouldn't even turn on because those dents are pretty deep into the back and I was worried it would be touching the logic board. But the machine is still working fine, albeit it's a little bent and it's a little dinged up, but it still is going fine. The setup actually hasn't changed at all, except for, unfortunately, my house got struck by lightning and my audio interface in the corner there does no longer work. Unfortunately, that means I can't use my nice Yamaha speakers anymore until I get that replaced, but those Scarlett Solos are a couple $100 and it's just not really worth it for me to spend right now. I still do have that weird glitch where my main monitor won't come on because of the weird way I have the displays connected. I talked about that in the 6-month update video and I will put that in the description as well. But to sum up that issue, I have the main display running off of the Thunderbolt out on my dock, and I have my secondary display running off of the dedicated display port on the dock. Technically that's not supposed to work, but it works most of the time with the way I have things going. Sometimes when I plug the machine in, usually after a long day when I just want to sit down at the computer, it will glitch and only the one monitor will show up and I'll have to unplug it and plug it back in. and that usually fixes it. Sometimes I have to do it 2 or 3 times, but that's not really an issue. I also mentioned I wanted to get a 10 gig network to Thunderbolt 3 adapter. I still haven't gotten one of those, mainly because I don't have the conduit up to my office yet. But it sounds like we're going to be doing that pretty soon. We wanted to get it professionally installed, and we're having someone come out to do that. Hopefully in the near future I'll be getting one of those. They are pretty expensive still, but that will allow me to be running the MacBook Pro off of the 10 gig network directly connected to my server rack. But with that said, I don't think there's much else to say. I'm just going to sum it up. This machine has been really nice to use over the last year. I've been extremely happy with my purchase. It was definitely worth its money, even though it is a bit damaged now, unfortunately. It is powerful, it's efficient, and it really suits my needs for a main workstation. I look forward to using this machine for many years to come. I think I made very good decisions in the way I configured this when I ordered it, and I have had no limitations when using this machine. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more. I also have social media. Go ahead and follow if you want to see incremental updates to my projects. I'll leave links to those in the description. Please consider donating via PayPal and Patreon. I also have an Amazon wishlist in the description. Any amount is greatly appreciated, and once again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.